So after our horrendous first time at a gold show at Thunderbird Show Park 2 years ago, I had not returned to any A-rated shows. But I decided to enter at Milner Downs for a couple of days of the first week and see how it goes. And surprisingly, warm-up day went really well. He was well behaved and jumped around and was really brave, and I was very impressed with him. We didn't get most of our lead changes, which sucked because he kept trying for me, but he's at the stage now where I really need to set him up well for them, and he just doesn't usually get there when he's jumping a course, so I don't often ask him, but he tries to offer them and then often misses the hind end, so I've just been kind of ignoring him and going about my business and kind of forcing him to figure it out because eventually we will have the full change once he's a little stronger in his dressage work. I did used to ask him for simple changes, and I still will, but sometimes he gets a bit strong in the middle of his courses, and then it's too much of a fight to bring him down to do a good simple change. So I've kind of just been forcing him to figure it out, and luckily by the last day he was actually landing correct for most of his fences, and I think that is partially because he is realizing that it's a lot easier to either just counter or to not attempt the change and just land correctly from the beginning. After our 0.75 warm-up, I waited around to do the 0.85 meter warm-up, but there was like 30 horses ahead of me and it was going to be like an hour and a half to 2 hour wait, and I didn't want to wait that long, so I looked into the empty 1 meter ring and was like, okay, I guess we're going into the Grand Prix ring and schooling the 1 meter course. But because Milo has confidence issues, I did have my mom and a friend pull down some of the jumps and make them 0.9 meters instead of a 1 meter course, and he was very good. He was very bold and forward and honestly really surprised me. He did take the first rail because he wasn't expecting it to be lifted as much as it was, and he did stop at the Liverpool. However, I was going to take the easier option and decided to take the Liverpool just to see what happened, and he stopped at it and then went right over after, which is really good for him because for those of you who have been watching him for a while, I'm sure you know that he used to be the type of horse that would stop at everything and would not go. If he stopped, it meant he just wasn't going, and it was the worst. So I was really happy with his warm-up rounds. I also feel the need to add that this was his first time actually competing on grass. He has jumped on grass before for cross-country jumps and maybe occasionally for show jumping jumps, but I can't really remember a time where he would have jumped on grass. So this was his first competition competing exclusively on grass, and I also decided to jump him in his completely leather bit for this one instead of his hackamore because I find that he runs into the hackamore more and is more heavy, and then he gets upset when I check him back in that one because the shanks are a little longer, so it's a little harsher even though it is bitless, whereas the leather bit molds to his mouth and is super soft, and he does gnaw on the leather bit more than he would on another bit, but it's because he likes the taste of it and he's usually gnawing on it even when he's standing still. So a fun fact is that Milo has never had hind shoes ever for as long as I've had him. He never had them before either because his owners didn't even feed him, so I can guarantee you they wouldn't have paid for shoes. So we put hind shoes on him for the Wednesday because we needed studs to put in his hind feet so he didn't slide on the grass because it was supposed to pour rain all day. And I'm really glad we did that because he didn't slide at all and we had an absolute blast on the grass. In both of his rounds on Wednesday, I found him to be quite fast and not necessarily in the most control because he was running through the bit a little bit. And when he does get forward, I don't really like to reprimand him too much because he used to be so backed off of jumps that if he's going to get forward towards them, I don't want to micromanage him and upset him and risk him stopping because of it. So I do encourage the forwardness to some extent. But he was a little wild and we didn't have the most control ever in the leather bit, but he was very good and he listened to me and jumped everything for the most part. He listened to me, but he did jump everything, so that's awesome and I was really proud of him. So as you can see, the cross cantering is a problem, but since he was so forward, it was not worth fighting him for the simple change. And I can get after him a little bit more for the flying change, and he will get it, but it usually results in him bucking and kind of being a lunatic. So in jumping courses, I don't really like to ask him for flying changes. He is offering a partial flying change. Like I said before, he really needs to be set up well to get a good change. And when he's jumping, he is not focused enough on being a dressage horse and getting a good change. So it's just not worth the fight, and I just let him do his thing, even if people probably made fun of us for missing our changes and cross-cantering. But you know what? Like, I would love to see other people try to get this horse through a course and jump 0.9 meters on him, because it has been a trip to actually get him over the jumps. In previous years, it honestly would have been an easier task for me to pick him up and throw him over than it would for me to get him to jump. So the fact that we actually got around 0.85 and 0.9 was an accomplishment, to say the least. You can also see how responsive he is to me petting him and praising him, which is why I try not to pet him while we're doing the course. I only pet him after, because he gets very extravagant and strikes out and plays when he knows he has done a good job. And it is not the most ideal thing to do while we're in the middle of a course, but he can do it after because he finished and he was proud of himself. So somehow we won his first 3-foot round ever at a show. That was pretty amazing, and I was not expecting it at all. But good for Milo. I'm really proud of him to win his first 3-foot round at an A-rated show, not even just a schooling show. So that was a big accomplishment, and I was very, very happy with him because he's so inexperienced at shows in general over fences, let alone moving up at a height when he's normally a major weenie. So I was very, very happy with him, and I honestly couldn't really believe it. But now we kind of have a rated show record that isn't that bad, so go Milo, go! So on Thursday, we scratched our .85 round because I wanted to do the accumulator class instead. Big mistake, which you'll find out later. Anyways, we did the .9 and he was fantastic. It was a .9 speed. I thought he felt exceptionally slow and I did not think we were going to place. But somehow we got third out of 24 trips, even though he was going slow for him at least. But he jumped better and he got more of his leads this time around. And he was very quiet for him, which is amazing. So this was probably one of his best rounds at the show, I would say, even though I thought it was slow for a speed round. So anyways, with regards to the accumulator class, it is kind of like a gambler's choice, but it has a set course, and as the course goes on, the jumps get more scary. So I made the mistake of entering this. I'm unfamiliar with what exactly an accumulator class was, but it sounded fun and I wanted to try it. I should have scratched him from this class, I should not have ridden it, and I feel like total crap for ending the show on this note. However, it was one of his best shows ever. Well, like literally his best show ever, so I am happy with that, but I'm totally pissed and choked about this accumulator class because I felt like I wronged my horse in going in it, and I kind of got excited and got greedy with our progress, and I screwed up, so I feel like crap about that. But anyways, the rest of the show is good, so yay.